live, you are live.
Welcome to the Sunset Safari. My name is Nat.Geo Smith. I have Andrew, Joseph, Francis on camera. We have Jamie and VM out on foot. And it was a troubling morning for all of us this morning. We were unable to deliver big cats, even though we had tracks. So Andrew and I have made our way up to the northwestern corner, seeing if we possibly might spot where the lions might have crossed. If we have no luck here, we're going to shoot down to where Karula had a duiker kill. So hopefully we get a little bit of luck. And also in final control, we have Kirsten and Nigala. But right in front of us, we have some zebra. Quite a nice little group. It's a group we've seen a few times before with two foals. I'm just going to sort of try. Oh, no, we're not going to slide. I'm just going to slide in next to them. And this female here on the back is one I saw the other day. She's got those remnant claw marks on her behind. Quite an old injury. Possibly from lions. There you go, the rest. One of the little foals about to cross the road in front of us. Now for the worst joke of the evening, there's a zebra crossing. I can hear Andrew shaking his head behind me. That's that sub-adult who we saw sleeping so heavily on quarantine the other day. So obviously very chuffed with this nice new grass that little bit of rain has brought out. Munch, munch, munch. And no two zebras have the same spots, or stripes, sorry. Like a leopard, they are completely unique, every individual. So on this particular type of zebra, the Birchall's or plain zebra, a very distinct, almost shadow stripe that you get between the very dark stripes. So if we have a back look there, you can see the very dark stripes, and you have a slightly lighter stripe often in between. Those are called shadow stripes. Now, in most zebra species are related, but there are a few different species. We have the Birchall's or plain zebra in a few different subspecies and forms throughout sort of the bushveld and plains of Africa. You also get a Cape Mountain zebra and a Hartman's mountain zebra, and there's one other zebra species still left, and that lives up in northern Kenya, and I wonder who knows what zebra that is. If you know, pop me an email on questions@WildEarthTV or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So let's get this afternoon safari going, and we are live from Djuma Private Game Reserve in search of lions and leopards, but we're definitely not going to ignore the other beautiful animals that surround us, like the zebra and some impala just beyond. So a very warm welcome to Matt Shift Runner, who's a new viewer. Thanks for joining us on the Sunset Safari. Matt would like to know, do we have a Twitter account? We do. The Twitter account is at WildEarth, but we're also on Facebook, which is just Safari Live. But the hashtag Safari Live, if you want to get a message through to us on Twitter, is the best way possible. If you're on Twitter, otherwise just pop us an email. So just double checking over that area that Scotty and I went through yesterday. This morning, looking for those lion tracks. Sure, seems like it was ages ago. Just making sure there are no tracks we might have missed in that very dark morning. prominent elephant paths that crisscross this area, and these are regularly used by a lot of the predators. Nice highways, so to speak. Taxi! How's it, Vo?
Good, thanks.
You're not on drive today?
I'm coming now.
You're coming now?
Yes.
Now we need some help. We couldn't find Ngala or Ingrid this morning.
Let's find out.
Okay.
I'm just going to get a leg over and getting you either.
Okay, thanks. Cheers, Taxi. That's Taxon. He is the guide from Djuma. We're at Taylor Lodge. And he's off. He'll be out joining us on safari shortly, so we'll probably hear him on the radio a little bit later. So for those of you who are new, all the safari vehicles, ours and the properties, we're all connected via radio to try and make it as easy as possible for all of us to find animals. So curious one saying, hopefully there's a breeding herd of buffalo that might attract the lions. I hope so too. Be very exciting. So this is the one little section Scotty and I didn't check yesterday, this morning. Sorry, we ducked off there. I'm hoping this is not where they managed to sneak across. Carefully, the ground is quite hard after the rain, so we're trying to find tracks. Andrew, you checking that side?
Yes.
Good man. So I'm thinking, if they had that buffalo kill on our neighboring property, the closest water for them would have been around here. And we have found an animal that reminds me a lot of Andrew. If you want to know what a kill looks like, guilty. Looking like they're apt to mischief. But one thing about a vervet monkey, it is one of the best alarm systems in the bush. They have incredibly good eyesight and are great predators. So when you hear a monkey alarm calling, it's always a very good idea to have a much closer look than you would for. While we check our northern boundary for tracks, let's go to Jamie, who's on the pony.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the bushwalk portion of this sunset safari. Bushwalk, you may ask, then why are they driving on the Mahindra? Well, we're following up on those leopard tracks that we had this morning. So Brent was trying to help us find them. It was a male and a female that walked in from our southern boundary from Gowrie, Maine, and wandered through across Leadwood and into Djuma. Now Brent was helping us track on foot while we were driving around on Rusty. The male, it looks like the male crossed out towards Torchwood, but the female remains an unknown quantity, last seen disappearing into the block that I'm heading to now. And just to give you a rough idea about the challenges that somebody of my stature faces, I'm busy driving the Mahindra. Now Brent probably sits about a foot higher than me. I actually really am finding it very difficult to see over the steering wheel. It just makes tracking a little bit more difficult. And next time I've got to remember to bring my booster seat with me. Fortunately, I'm not the shortest person in camp, and some of them actually struggle to reach the clutch. At least I don't have that particular struggle. But yes, VM and I will be out and about on bushwalk this morning, or this afternoon. And we're going to see if we can follow up on that leopard on foot. And of course, your intention when we're acting on foot like this, or is to avoid things like that. Shame, Sipa's still here. Hello, hippo. Oh dear. You're going, don't go that way. Please don't go that way. I want to go that way. A bit more relaxed than it was yesterday or the day before when we bumped into it. I'm going to back up and give it some space so that it can come back to its pan. I wonder why it's chosen to be here and what the deal is there. I was actually going this route to avoid going through a dip and losing your signal, but I'm kind of glad that I did, just so that we know that this hippo is around. Didn't look like there was a hippo in the Djuma pan. There we go, I've given it a bit more space. Nice and relaxed. I'm giving it space purely for the animal's sake, so that it doesn't feel terribly threatened. Now usually when a hippo is in water, that's when it feels at its absolute safest. And it's only when they are caught out of water, usually with you between it and a safe escape, that they become very volatile and particularly aggressive and dangerous. Now in this case, unfortunately with this drought... No way! Don't go! Mating leopards! That's so cool! We can hear them in the drainage line. FC, you need to get Brent right over here. I'm going to call him on the Game Drive channel. Yes! This is what we need! Brent for Jamie.
I'm going to say thank you to the hippo.
Thank you, hippo! Yes, Viv's right. We need to say thank you to the hippo.
Very well.
Brent, we've got audio of those ingwe in the Mulwati, just close to Spaghetti Junction.
Copy, I'm on the...
How cool is this? I'm just making sure he knows where they are, plus trying not to reverse off the road. So exciting. Yeah, Brent, the only problem is there's a vubu that's just gone towards where they are again. But they definitely, we might even be able to get visual from the junction itself in the Mulwati. So exciting!
Confirm the voltage yellow top.
That's affirmative. They're either in that, I think they're in that thicket between Twin Dams and the Mulwati, just to the south of Spaghetti Junction. So exciting!
Copy, I'm on my way.
So, for new viewers, welcome to Safari Live, and you just never know when you're going to or what you're going to encounter when you're out and about like this. Where are these leopards? It sounded like they were in the drainage line. Hey, Viam.
Right here, close.
They're right here somewhere. Now, we spoke about it this morning and the sound that leopards make. And when they mate, it happens very regularly. So once every 2 to 3 minutes if they're feeling particularly enthusiastic and if it's at the beginning of their mating session. But what happens is, leopard mating, for those of you unfamiliar with it, it's a very aggressive act, and it usually results at the end in the female turning around, the male turning around and swatting each other, and the sounds that they make go something along the lines of... There you go. I hope you enjoyed that impression. In the spirit of strange impressions that we've been making. And it's somewhere right, they are somewhere right here. I actually want to sit and just try and have a look across us and just sit and listen and see if we can maybe hear them. But I've called Brent in. Come on, leopards. The biggest problem now is, of course, that hippo. So we can't go wandering straight in there on foot, not knowing that he is there. One more. There's one thing I want to do. I know that they're here, so we can actually go off-road because it is for a confirmed sighting. So we're going to go and have a look. And due to the fact that we don't have to do serious damage to this particular drainage line area, we can. I want to go and just check this gap up ahead. Let's go see if we can find some mating leopards. For all VM having to balance on the dashboard, I believe that we're in for a lucky afternoon, and Brent has found a leopard for you.
So, welcome back. This is death. After. we're just racing towards her, and there's this male leopard was walking up the road towards us. It looks to be, I know who he is. Let's see if anyone out there can guess what leopard this is. And if you know, send your answers through to questions@WildEarthTV or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Big adult male. So it looks like luck is on our side. I made a joke about finding big cats before we left on safari. Seems like you don't have to be a skilled tracker, you just need a little bit of lady luck. Located Wanuna Ingwe Mobile West Arathusa cut line, just to the west of the junction with Kari cut line. Not just yet. I'll update you as soon as I know.
Okay, copy. I'm on to the cut line heading north. I'll give you a shot from a bit closer.
Copy.
But heading west on Kari cut line from Kari cut line. Yeah. Coming on to the cut line.
So here we are. We stopped, fortunately. We were right on our northern boundary. So who can figure out who it is? I wonder if Andrew knows. Who do you think it is, Andrew?
Tingana.
Oh, let's see if everyone out there joining us on Safari agrees with you or thinks you might be a bit of a nana. Okay, well look who's just landed on me. So leopards around. We've got a little forester. The leopard's on the move, so let's leave them off. So a few of you out there seem to think it could be Vula. Sorry guys, it's going to be on the gate. And you're going to have to bear with me a second while I try get out of this image. There we go. Sorry. So it does look like quite an old. You can see he's walking very slowly. It is, even though it is overcast and cloudy, it is still, but it's 29 degrees, 78 if I remember correctly, Fahrenheit. Green?
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Bad signal area. As he moves towards
No audio, but I think it's probably without
tax. Yeah, tax. I'm near the top of the crest. If you're heading west from Gari Cutline Junction with Buffalo, west down the road at the moment. There we go. I've spotted him. You see how he's turned? Hey, firm. There we go. You see how this? Boom.
Thanks so much.
So it is looking like it is Mvula. You can see he's losing condition. He is looking quite old. And those very distinct tattered ears. So well done to Raisa and quite a few others who got that spot on.
Yeah, I think that is not the same down.
So Steph in Switzerland says she's always amazed by male leopard's neck. Now the reason they've got these big thick necks is protection from fighting. So it is to help. They've got extra big muscles and some extra skin there. So if they do get into a fight, some of their... Oh, listen, those could be really upset. And so it protects them in those fighting. Listen to how deep and that kudu bark is. Oh no, don't go that way, please. Vehicles can. So you call, ask them to. In case. It looks. So he's still moving parallel to the road, so we will try stay with him as long as possible. I really do apologize about the screen jumping in and out in this area. Unfortunately, that is just one of the things that happens. We are live in the African bush following one of Africa's big five, a big male leopard. He is sort of at the end of his tenure, I'm afraid. Tingana, who's a slightly younger male, has basically taken over the majority of his territory, and I think that's possibly the leopards that Jamie heard in the drainage line, and he has looked back to where Jamie is looking for the leopards, and he will try to stay out of the way. Especially in his condition. You can see he's not in the best condition. So he is getting quite old now. He's about 12, I think turning 13 this year, which is old for a male leopard. The oldest recorded male leopard in the wild is 15 years old. So 12 for a male leopard out in the wild is very old. He's disappearing there. Hopefully Tax or Craig get you fast. They can keep used to areas. You can hear that little bird's alarm calling at him. Very distinct leopard behavior, heading for the closest termite mound or high ground where he's going to be able to get a better view of his surroundings and possible potential prey species up ahead. You got him there, Andrew, on top of the termite mound. Look at that camouflage, isn't it incredible? Maybe let me go forward a little bit for you. Andrew, up to the right corner. There we go. Center. You got him now? Yeah. There we go. So look at that. How incredible is that camouflage? I mean, he is 50 meters from us, and look how those rosettes just blend in. So Darlene in New Hampshire, Darlene, is wondering whether all the big cats, lion, leopard, cheetah, are all comfortable using the roads. They are, Darlene, and I'll explain to you why in a second. So a lot of the roads have been built on old elephant paths, so the reason the roads are put in the areas they are is to maximize the possibility, he's off again, of finding game. Let's just try and move forward. Copy, well done, Jamie. This stingray is heading north. So we'll probably see you just now. Okay guys, that leopard's disappeared. I'm just going to wait here to show where the other guys where he went. But guess what? Jamie's found more leopards. It's incredible. Let's go have a look.
Central to the west.
There we go. It is just going to be one of those afternoons. So our bushwalk hasn't quite gone according to plan, and we haven't really done any walking at all, but we have located a leopard for you. Now, it looks like shadow to me. Where the male is, we haven't managed to spot him yet. I'm pretty sure he's probably lying up on the other side of that termite mound. So when it does come time for mating, we might have to reposition. Could be a bit tricky. We know this block of old, and it is rather an uncomfortable one to enter into, but what an awesome way to start off our afternoon. I'm currently sitting on the door so that I can sort of watch what's going on. Poor old VM is doing all of this handheld, which goes to show how incredibly adaptable our cameramen are. But what an awesome, and a big well done to VM for hearing that first sound that alerted us to the presence of the leopard. So it goes to show how interesting this is, and I wonder if Karula is aware of this situation. So when a female leopard-like shadow, whose territory is right to the west of us around Arathusa and Simbombili, when it comes time for them to mate, it's amazing how they just follow that male wherever he may go. The fact that Brent is with Mvula suggests to me that we're probably going to be seeing Tungana as well this afternoon. How's that? Now all we need is Karula to come back and finish that Dacre kill on Buffels for Cutline, and we'll have completed the family circle for this afternoon. And who knows, we could wait for Kanuma in quarantine to come wandering down. It just goes to show how luck works out here. And some of it is luck and some of it is hard work. Brent and I worked very, very hard to find this leopard this morning, and then she very kindly made a lot of noise to alert us to her presence. Our hippo, by the way, did come down towards the drainage line as we were entering it. So I'm glad that we didn't have to go wandering through here on foot to find them. Now, as I said, with mating leopards, it can be very varied in terms of how often they mate, and a lot of the time it's determined by the temperature of the day, as well as whether or not, or how far into their mating session that they are. So don't forget that we are coming to you live, so we just don't know what to expect, and who knows if Mvula decides to turn around and come back here and make an appearance. That being said, for new viewers, mating leopards is a fascinating thing. It usually lasts about 5 to 7 days, and they can copulate probably somewhere in the region of about 300 times during that time. And the reason behind this is that the female actually has what's known as an induced fertilization. So although she comes into estrus and is ready to mate, she isn't yet ready for the sperm to fertilize or to have released her ovaries, or her ovums, her eggs. So what happens is the male mates with her repeatedly in order to bring that about. And that's what actually prompts that aggression that you see with mating leopards, that they tend to react to each other very aggressively, particularly when the male moves off the female after he's mounted her. And the reason behind that is he has spines on his penis, which actually cause her a considerable amount of pain, but it's necessary in the entire process of the mating and induced ovulation. So that's what we're listening to at the moment, or we were listening to. I think because it's so hot and humid, she's showing a bit of reluctance. We've actually seen them, particularly with Quatile, when she was mating with Tingana. We saw her mating roughly every 2 minutes. So now we just have to wait and see. Now, I know for certain she's mating because we heard it. But even then, if I were to see her here in the Mulwati, in the heart of Karula's territory, I actually think that I would expect her to be mating anyway. Because it's only really then that those females start to push the boundaries into each other's territories. Since I'm here, I'm going to sit down a little bit, make the wildebeest's life a bit easier, since he doesn't have any kind of tripod. Working under extreme conditions to bring you the footage that we have. And once Brent does arrive, then we will be able to swap places with him and actually go on the walking part of this walking safari. Although at the moment, I have to be honest, I'm starting to wonder whether we might not have better signal than Rusty. I'm not sure if FC is seeing pictures in termite mounds or if they've actually spotted the male. Now, I've certainly seen termite mounds look like leopards before. Termite mounds can be very deceptive. FC, just to let you know, there is a leopard on that termite mound. There are not two. You're seeing shapes in termite mounds. Maybe what would be a good idea for Brent is to go onto the top of the bank there if he can get Rusty in. I think I'm going to try and get hold of him on the Game Drive channel and just see if we can suggest to him that he goes around that side.
Copy that. I would like to make my way there from here by Chakana Tiering. We've got 2 goals.
Come on, Shadow. Now, I'm really excited for new viewers who will have this as their first time watching leopards mating. And the dance that leopard does, or the female does, in order to attract the male's attention is one of the most intricate seduction dances in the animal kingdom. And it's incredible to watch. And it usually takes him about a day to actually get to the point where he is interested enough in her to mate with her. Probably because he does not want to waste any energy in mating with her if he doesn't think there's the possibility of fertilization.
Also responding to that lot, going north from the
I'm just going to
junction.
wait for my opportunity to just chat on the Game Drive channel. Brent for Jamie.
Hello, what's the exact position on my best approach? I am central junction with
She's actually on a termite mound on the eastern edge of the drainage line, right where it gets that steep wall at the Tamboti thicket. And I don't know whether the best approach would be to actually come from either Batalia or Mamba and approach from that block, looking down into the Mulwati.
Okay, copy. Were you in the drainage?
That's affirmative. Hello, girl.
Copy. I think I'm going to take that 2-track that runs on the northern edge of the Moati from Batalia. So probably how far in meters from that junction to that position?
I think I'm about 200 meters along that, maybe a little bit more.
Copy that. Can you copy that?
Sorry guys, just trying to give Brent some directions into the sighting.
On the northern side of the Moati, or northeastern side, between Mamba and...
Look how she's looking at us. Hello, girl.
I think this is going to be...
Now, for those of you joining us for the first time, you will have heard us talking regularly about Karula. Now, as far as I can tell, and bear in mind that especially in this current setup, I can't see exactly what you're seeing, but I'm fairly certain that this is Shadow, keeping a close eye on us, and she's quite a distinctly recognizable leopard. She's got a very short nose, or an unusually short nose to my eyes, and she's a very tiny, tiny leopard. Very delicate, almost, you could describe her as. Now, this tells us one other thing, for those of you wondering. Shadow is not pregnant, because Shadow would not be mating with Tingana if she were. Pregnant females, to the best of my knowledge, particularly if we thought she was pregnant at the late stages, they do not mate with males. Is she going to get up? She's looking upwards. Just one more opportunity to go onto the Game Drive channel. Drainage lines that people never imagined were actually possible to get through. Ah, that would explain it. VM agrees. So I'm looking at her, now bear in mind that I can't see exactly what it is you're seeing, and I'm looking at her thinking, she looks like Shadow, but she doesn't look like Shadow. And I've been trying to work that out from while I've been sitting here. And the fantastic news is that this is actually a leopard that I have never seen before. Raisa, I agree with you, and Nikki actually, who's also put it out there as an option. We think this is Tundi. So how cool is that? Tundi is Shadow's sister, one of Karula's other daughters, and for me this is a first. VM, is this your first? It's VM's first time seeing Tundi as well. So this is absolutely epic. I'm so excited about this. There's nothing like seeing a new animal, and that definitely suggests to me that she is mating with a male here. I wonder who the male could be, because I heard rumors that Tundi was mating with another male around here, so maybe we might even get to see more than one new leopard this afternoon. The story just gets better and better and better. She's showing a bit of reluctance though. She hasn't actually moved from her post on the termite mound, so she might take us a while to figure out who the male is. You're just going to have to stay tuned and find out with the rest of us. This is awesome. I'm so excited. So Tundi, you're a dark horse and a surprise. And Paul Rizzo, absolutely. Awesome Leopard Friday is the way forward. We've had Mvula and Tundi in the space of less than an hour. Nope, she's getting up to go. I think this is where we're going to get the audio, so listen closely. I can't get to reposition to where she's going to move to. She's going to go and seduce him. We might see flashes of her dance. Yeah, those deep rumbling purrs.
Jamie, Jim. One.
Sorry, just stand by. Now, unfortunately, we can't see more than the odd flash of motion. you guys hear that? No, didn't come through, unfortunately. We're not close enough. It sounds a little bit like two Harley Davidsons getting started up. I'm just going to give Brent some more directions and we'll see if we can get him up there. I can't get this Mahindra up to that particular spot. Brent, Jamie?
Ivan, I got that audio. Confirm you lost visual of them.
That's affirmative. They're now on the eastern side at the top of the ridge. I can't see them from where I am.
Copy. I'm in that position. Confirm you've got my vehicle audio.
That's affirmative.
Yeah, I've got them.
Well done. There we go. And that's what we wanted. And that is teamwork at work. Brent has made his way in. He says he has spotted them. He's just currently positioning Rusty so that we can go and have a look from the perspective of the top of the ridge and get an idea as to exactly what's happening and who that male is. And I'm as excited as you are to discover who it might be. So we await patiently, and let's go over to Brent and find out who it is.
To creep through the bush up above Jamie. So we're with the leopards. Jamie's below in case they... I don't recognize this female. Oh, there we go. Jamie's just let me know. It's Tundi. And we can't see the male clearly yet. There they are. Look at Tingana. There we go. Look at that. Isn't she wonderful? Another one of Karula's kids, so to speak. Listen to that audio. Hello, madam. Nice to meet you. So, look at that. I know they've just mated. It's normally about 15 minutes, but she might mate again. Oh, look at that. That is leopard flirting at its finest. Look at that. He's not showing very much interest at all. Isn't this fascinating, guys?
Brain coming, brain.
So that is leopard flirting at its finest. Sorry, guys, I just got to be on the radio for a second. Standing by, Craig.
Brent, confirm there's a route in off Arathusa.
Hey, firm, Craig. Just follow my tracks. There's an old 2-track from an old lion sighting. There is a small drainage line. Just stand by one. Look at this, guys. They're gonna mate again. Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? So leopard mating is very, very aggressive. And this means the mate, they've just started mating, that they're mating so frequently. Look at her, she's now going to roll onto her back like that. So, I mean, she's right in front of the vehicle, and often you'll notice after copulation, she'll do that to try and make sure none of the semen falls out. And this will happen sort of every 15 minutes on average. Ooh, just like your mother and your sister. And isn't that incredible? She's hissing right at us. And that's very similar to what Shadow does sometimes, and even Karula. So we haven't moved, we're not doing anything, but they are obviously in heightened sort of hormones at the moment. I've just got to chat to Craig quickly. I'll be back with you in a second. Look at that, she's no more than 3 feet from the vehicle, right next to us. Yeah, Craig, if you come off Batalia right down near the drainage line, you'll see there's a pan there that's got a couple of Mnisi lying in it. And if you just keep coming past, follow my tracks, there is a sort of rock, a bridge that crosses through over that little drainage line, and then you'll get my visual just after you cross that little drainage line that flows into the Marty.
Alright, copy. See if I can follow your tracks in there. Thank you.
Isn't that amazing, guys? So there he is. And you can see that.
Sorry to bother you,
What? Look at that. She's still snarling at us. Sorry, Andrew. I know you're on the mail at the moment. But she's lying there just very relaxed and suddenly giving us a good hiss. So this is the first time I've ever seen this leopard. And so I know our viewers who've been watching for a long time, who can give me some info on her. How old is she? I know she is one of Karula's progeny, but from watched litter, she possibly, I think I vaguely remember her being Shadow's sister. So I think if I remember correctly, she is Shadow's sister. So you can see a slight similarity in their face, but in their coloring, she's much darker than Shadow. This is really, really interesting, and I know I've been chatting about recently the fact that leopards will actually move out of their natal territories to mate. Now, natal territory is their home range where they stay permanently. So when a female comes into estrus, she will actively seek out all the possible males that her cubs might come into contact with to mate with them. So if they ever come across those cubs, they're all convinced that they're the daddies. So it's a defense mechanism, a very smart one. So that's why it's near impossible to know whether female or whether the fathers of the cubs exactly who they are without doing genetic tests. So as far as I know, Tundi is normally much further to the southeast towards Cheetah Plains. So according to Marisha in Texas, Tundi's current cub is over 1.5 years, and it is a female. So female cubs become independent at a lot earlier age than males. Sorry guys, Craig's just trying to call me.
Might be follow the tracks heading back east.
Okay. And so they become independent from anywhere from 1 year to 1.5 years. So it would definitely be time to mate again. And I'm not sure what her new cub or her cub's name is, but what we can do is Craig, who's from that part of the world, is on his way to join us in the sighting, so he might have some more information on that cub, so I'll ask him as soon as he gets here. So I'm excited. You hear that click, click, click? That's just my camera shooting away. Always amazing to see a leopard you haven't seen before. They're such exquisite creatures. And you can see the vast difference in size between a male and a female leopard. And Katja just says, wow, he's enormous compared to her. He is a lot bigger than her. And he's actually sleeping with his head on a log at the moment, being quite lazy. So we do know there's another vehicle about to join us in this sighting. So I'm going to scoot forward slightly, and we can also get a better view of him. Now, I know I've been telling you guys a lot about how to drive around elephants recently. A lot of the same principles work with a leopard. So don't move as soon as you've started your car. Let the car run for a few seconds, let them get used to it. And again, low range, especially now that they're mating. You can see she's watching the tires, but she hasn't, her ears haven't gone flat. Her tail's not flicking. Giving Andrew the evil eye. There we go. So there we go. only vehicle here for a while, but I do know the other game drives are coming, so we want to make sure we position so the other game drives can also get a great view. As I was saying, you can see she's quite a bit darker than her sister. Wouldn't you agree, Andrew? Now, this is always going to be a controversial question, but guys, who do you think's prettier, Tundi or Shadow? If you would like to let me know, send your answers through to questions@WildEarthTV or use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. So you're going to hear me clap my hands a little bit quickly, and that means I'm just switching off the virtual reality rig, which is that ball of GoPros on the front of the vehicle. And amazing that we managed to catch that on virtual reality. So that's going to be amazing. Very exciting stuff. Oh, sorry guys. Sorry guys, didn't mean to do that. Yeah, it seems the GoPro noise stopped them. And you can see, if we have a look at the male, now we've seen 2 male leopards today, and that's not 2 big male leopards, and that's not something you see every day. And you can see, look at his ears, look at his face. He looks in a lot better condition than the male we saw earlier. The male we saw earlier is Mvula, and this is Tingana. Gerard was just asking, and Mvula, in his prime, was a decent-sized male leopard, but still not nearly as big as Tingana or Anderson. Tingana, if you just look at that neck, you can see how much bigger his neck is than Mvula, and when he stands, he's definitely quite a bit taller. Looks like you might have spotted something behind us. Oh, here comes the flirting again. Hey, film Craig, keep going.
Following the north.
Hey, film, and then they'll probably about 60 meters from the Moati. There's a spot to cross over this little drainage line that flows into the Moati. We're just on the eastern or southern side of that. Look at that, here comes the leopard flirting again. Oh, look at that. And you can see male leopards often show great disdain. And a female often has to almost at them. Listen to how deep that growl is. Look at that hissing afterwards. So the reason there's so much aggression in leopard mating, and when these copulations are this aggressive, it's generally very early on in the mating. So when these copulations are this aggressive, it's generally very early on in the mating. So this probably might be the first day of mating, and also the fact that they're mating far closer than 15 minutes. So you're going to give us a snarl for good measure now. So just a quick little message from the wonderful Jamie, who found these leopards. She says she's extremely jealous and regrets her decision to walk immensely. I'm sorry, Jamie. Andrew and I did say we had a good feeling of our cats today, didn't we, Andrew? Mm-hmm. So mating between big cats can often go on for 4 or 5 days. And the males are very tired at the end of it. So ex-Ranger would like to know about the distinguishing marks on Thandi. I don't know any just yet, but her left-hand spot pattern is a 3. So in most researchers utilize the last line of spots above the whiskers. So we can she's got 3 really nice big dark ones as she turns her head perfectly for us. On the left, I can't see the right yet. I should have a photo there. And it looks like she's a 3-3. Looks like the right is also 3. Now what's going to be very interesting that sometimes in these situations is that Karula, who this is the part of the core of her territory, will sometimes come and have a look, and we've seen that before. Stephanie would like to know whether Thandi is smaller than Karula. I would say they're probably similar sized. I wouldn't say they're too small. Standing by, Craig.
Brendan, you'll be able to make it through that little seam line. Is there possibly another route you might know of?
Confirm you've got to the rocks are.
That's true, I've seen your tracks going over, but I think it's too steep for
Copy. You could try from Mumba. I'm not sure how thick the block is from that side, though. I've never really been too far beyond in a vehicle from where I am now.
Okay, copy. See what I can do.
When you drive down the Moati, you'll get my vehicle visual. You won't be able to see them, but just so you have an idea of exactly where we are.
Alright, thanks, Brendan.
Sorry about that, guys. Craig's just trying to get his way in here, and unfortunately his car's a little bit long, and that is one of the joys of these little vehicles we use. They are short wheel based, so we are able to go through steeper areas and between tighter corners than the guys in the bigger vehicles are able to do. It's what makes them quite ideal for what we do. Joe's let me know that Thandi's original name was Siseka, and very, very exciting for a lot of the viewers who've been watching since the first live drives to see her again. Billy Joe says that Thandi was Karula's favourite between her and Shadow. Billy Joe, I hate to say this, but I'm going to disagree with you. I don't think leopards have favourites with their cubs. I think the personality of the different individuals might come through. So you probably find why I know Shadow was the more retiring of the two cubs. So the fact that she might have been seen a bit more often with Karula, it's not the case that she was a favorite. It would have been just the personality, with Shadow being slightly more retiring than Thandi. It's very easy to put human sort of concepts onto wild animals, but it's often not the case. It's what we would like to believe rather than what is the truth that's happening in front of us. So we saw Mvula a little bit earlier, actually while we were rushing to give Jamie a hand in this area. And Terry in New York would like to know, how far is Mvula from here? He's not too far, probably about 2.5 kilometers as the crow flies, but he can definitely hear this. I could see him looking back this direction, and he kept moving away. So although he would love, obviously, to spread his genes some more, he's not going to risk taking on a leopard that's in such great condition as Tingana. So there comes Craig. Let me just let him go. Craig, I'm above you now. Copy. That's Tingana and Tandi. Look at that. I definitely think maybe it's because she's a new leopard, but I am quite liking her at the moment. I definitely do prefer the darker leopards to the lighter coloured ones. So interesting enough, where I worked in the southern Sabi Sands, there was quite a distinct lineage of leopards, as you want to call it, between the river female and the old mother leopard, as they used to call her. And now Tandi sort of sits halfway between in the colour scale. But so the mother leopard, which was in the south of the property, they were much paler and had more short, squat faces. And then the river leopards seemed to be much darker, almost more jaguar coloured than the other leopards. And I've always had an affinity for the darker coloured leopards. And everyone's got their own personal preferences. But I do think... Actually, I'm not going to say it yet. I haven't heard what you guys think. Who's more pretty, Tandi or Shadow? Tingana is a beautiful big boy, and you can see he's also got that one of the darker colours. So compared to the Anderson male, Tingana is much darker. So Stephanie says Tandi's prettier. Stephanie, I'm tending to agree with you. Also looks like she's got a little bit more attitude. And for those who've been watching for the last year or so while I've been around, we all know how I like a leopard with attitude. Hence my favourite of the young males being Djuma.
Yeah, that might be. But just
So it shouldn't be too long, possibly before the next copulation. But they will quite often not eat for these 4 or 5 days while they're mating, only drink water, and quite often it's the male who will try to get away from the female. But I'm just going to move the vehicle slightly just now. Mercedes was wondering when hunting and eating happens, and I was Mercedes after the mating. That's normally short as 3 days, as long as 5 days, and normally on average around 4 days. Now what was that for? She does have slightly similar facial features to Shadow. So Mercedes would like me to spell Tandi's name. So Tandi is actually short, Mercedes, for Tandakile, which means the one that is loved. So it's Thandi, Tandi, love or liked, but it will be a shortening of the Shangaan and Zulu name Tandakile, which means the one that is loved. So with leopards, most of the sort of initiation of the mating is done by the females, but we'll be keeping a close eye on what's happening here. While we do that, let's go and jump across to the wonderful and very clever Jamie, who actually found these leopards for us, who is finally, after a leopard deviation, on foot.
So we're going to go really quietly up to what I want to show you, and hopefully you can hear me whispering, and the reason why I'm whispering will become very clear in a moment. But before we go straight up that way, I don't have one of those ash bags with me for wind direction, but the wind is blowing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a plan. I'm just going to wait and see for when the wind starts to blow, and I'm just going to let a little bit of dirt come down. Perfect for what I want to do. It's coming straight towards us. And I want to go show you something. It's something that we saw this morning, but everything takes on a whole different style when you're on foot. So we're going to approach it nice and quietly to make our way around here. Let's see if we can get a nice view of what I want to show you. Since we're not just content with leopards, there's another spotted animal that's hiding in here that I want to show you. See if I can get a visual. So we can see them. They haven't realized that we're here, and it's the 2 hyena that we saw this morning. So if we just have a look through this gap, we should be able to see them perfectly. The hyenas are hiding down there. Now this is the injured hyena that we saw in the fight the other day. And if we just go sneak around her, she's going to duck down again. She lifted her head up. She hasn't realized exactly where we are, but she has lifted her head up. She's shown a little bit of sign of us being aware of our presence. Going to stay down. There you go. You can see her. She's been spending the whole day here, hiding by this pan. And it's so nice to see her. It's the first time I've seen her since she was involved in that fight a couple of weeks ago. Looking much healthier, no longer limping. And with her is the sub-adult cub that we think is hers. So she does have one of the cubs with her, and they've spent the whole day on this hot, humid day, maybe about 200 meters away from those mating leopards. As I said, approaching on foot is very different, because we don't want to startle or disturb the animal. That's the whole idea, and that is actually where most of the skill in walking comes from, particularly if you're approaching. Now, the hyenas out on Djuma are quite relaxed with people on foot, and in fact I've had them follow me before while I've been out tracking. But because of the nature of this particular hyena, because I know her backstory, I don't want to disturb her at all. So what we're going to try and do, now that she's relaxed a little bit, I'm just going to try and move slightly further, put the bush between us and her so that we don't disturb her with our view, and I'm going to try and show you the sub-adults. You can go. Just put her head back down. Now, the one thing when you're approaching predators on foot is that most important is that you don't let them smell you. So that's kind of what we're trying to avoid. So even if they are aware of your presence, their reliance on their sense of smell is so intense that they don't want to, that as soon as you are, this is what's happening. The wind is gusting around, so that's changing direction round and around. I think it might make our approach from this angle a little bit more tricky. I don't think we're going to manage it without disturbing them, and of course I don't want to do that. We don't want to have any kind of a negative impact on them, so we're going to have to just leave that as our little cameo link. I don't want to disturb her anymore, especially because we know she has been through that fight, and I don't want to have to cause her to get up and waste energy running away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you back across to Brent so that I can move away from here quietly, and we'll catch up with you very soon.
So, welcome back. They haven't moved from where they were when you jumped off onto foot with Jamie to go have a look at those hyenas taking advantage of that wonderful mud wallow. But I think we should be getting quite close to the next mating. I forgot to take time the last time they mated, but we can see what average time it's going, but they did mate quite quickly those first 2 times. So a very big, warm Safari Live welcome to Michelle's geography class in Ohio. Although we are normally more a biology classroom out here, Michelle, we will definitely take a geography question for you. Michelle would like to know whereabouts in South Africa we are. So we are in the eastern part, or the northeastern part of South Africa, in a province called Mpumalanga. And Mpumalanga basically translated means Mpuma, to come out. Langa is sun. So where the sun rises. So right up at the east, the Mozambique border is probably about 100 kilometers from us here. And we're about 3/4 of the way up from the coast on the eastern side and in Cozy Bay. But specifically we're in the low veld of South Africa. On average, around 400 to 500 meters above sea level. Hot, humid, semi-arid. We get about about 635 millimeters of rain a year on average. This year we're probably going to get about half of what we normally get, so it is going to be a very dry year due to El Nino. But the area we're in at the moment is mostly on granite soils with gabbro to the east. Gabbro is a type of basalt soil, very good for grasses, not so much trees. On the granite soils, you'll see we've got quite nice thick trees all around us. And then also we have a dolerite in sort of inclusions, dolerite ridges and rhyolite ridges that cut through the granite substrate. So I hope that is a little bit of a geography lesson for you guys there in Ohio. If you have any more geography questions, feel free to ask. I'll try my best to answer them. But hopefully, let's switch back to the biology section of the lesson this afternoon and back to these leopards who hopefully are going to be mating again very soon. Smells some rain in the air. So Craig is here, and I said I would ask him about Tandy's last cub, since she does spend more time down in Craig's neck of the woods.
One male
ages. So it was a male cub
for 3-4 months.
Okay, there we go. There's Craig.
Hello.
Tingana moved. That might sometimes incites a little bit of passion in the ladies, but not this time. So Craig says it was a male cub, not a female cub, and it hasn't been seen in 3 or 4 months. So it's obviously dispersed. You can see Mr. Tingana has found himself a really nice pillow. So Anne in Texas is wondering whereabouts exactly is Tandy's home range. So it's to the southeast of us, Anne, around Cheetah Plains, Chitwa, and into Mala Mala. looking at the calm before the storm. For those of you who might have joined us a little bit late, the Sunset Safari, we are with a mating pair of leopards. And it is one of Karula's progeny. Her name is Thandi, which is short for Thandikile, the loved one. And she's moved out of her natal range to mate with Tingana, who is lying up next to her. And she is the litter mate and sister of Shadow. So quite nice to meet the other first member of Karula's first litter. And can you believe it or not, we actually even saw Mvula as well earlier on the drive. He is probably about 2.5 kilometers to the north of us at the moment. Ellen Fowler says that Thandi has a nick on her left ear and Shadow has a nick on her right ear as a distinguishing feature. Also, just for me, looking at her, she's much darker. Her face is much darker than Shadow's. And her 3-3 spot pattern, I can't remember offhand what Shadow's is, but I don't think it's 3-3. Trying to remember now. Let me see if I've got. I'm sure I must have a picture of Madam Shadow somewhere. So there we go. Shadow is a 3-4 for those who are interested. So Thandi's a 3-3. And have a look here. I've got a picture. So on the right, Shadow has a 3 and then a 4, including a very small one there. So Shadow is a 3-4. And you can see a little bit of resemblance in the face, and you see how much lighter Shadow's face is than Thandi's. If we have a look at Thandi now, can see much darker in the face. And Tom's wondering, do we carry a notebook around with us, all the information on these leopards, or is it just in our heads? Well, we remember most of it, and if we forget, we've got our wonderful viewers who have been keeping track of these leopards since the beginning of the live drives, and they, if we ever step out of line, they're there to put us right back in. So, can you believe it? When I was tracking this morning, helping Jamie, I was following these tracks just before the end of drive. I probably turned around 150, 200 meters from here. Should have kept walking. So, we're right on the top side of the Mawati, a little river system that flows through the center of Djuma. You can just see the sand through there where Andrew's showing you. So we're right on the top of the eastern bank. So we have been chatting a little bit about Shadow and Thandi, and I will touch on their success with cubs and whatnot shortly, but AJ is wondering, why do leopards have spiked penises? Is this sort of some evil trick of evolution? Well, it is and it isn't. It's a very important evolutionary trick. So even domestic cats and lions also have barbed penises. And what that does is while they're copulating, when the male ejaculates, it is to try possibly keep as much of the sperm inside the female as possible to have the greatest chance of actually impregnating her. And that's also why they mate so frequently over such a short time, because remember, she's only going to be an estrus for a very short time, so they've got 4 or 5 days where they can mate constantly. So all the little evolutionary tricks to sort of ensure impregnation. So I know we had a question a little bit earlier about Tundi's success with cubs, and as I said, I don't know much about Tundi, and fortunately I've got Craig who's shaking his head at me as well.
Not either.
He doesn't know a lot either. So maybe some of our long-time viewers who keep an eye on what's happening with the leopards around this part of the world can let me know how many litters Tundi has had, how many of those have been successful. Shadow, we know she's had, well, if we want to be honest about it, theoretically 0 successful litters. And I know a lot of you have been asking about Sandile and what's happening. All I can tell you now, he is still in that facility where he is put. Unfortunately, he's probably not going to be coming back, and he is still under quarantine for rabies. And of course, very sad for a lot of us. He was dear to a lot of us here. We spent many, many hours with that young man. But removing a leopard that has possibly been tainted by an infected animal, as hard as it is for a lot of people who've been watching the show and watched them grow up, it is necessary. We cannot have a potential threat like that wandering around. Rabies can spread at an incredible speed through a population of cats, dogs, and a rabid animal becomes extremely aggressive and will feel nothing attacking an elephant, a lion, even a small leopard. So it was the right decision to remove him from the reserve. So she's starting to do a bit of grooming. Hopefully that is going to be a prelude to a bit of flirting. Safari Dean says, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but the prospect of seeing leopard cubs one day seems exciting. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Safari Dean, but unfortunately, probably not going to see too many of Tundi's cubs. As I said, female leopards move well out of their natal home range to mate, and you never know what could happen there. But still another 3 months. They have just between a 90 and 102 day gestation period. But one must remember, leopards in the Sabi Sands specifically, the cubs have about a 70% mortality rate before they're a year old. Lots of things are dangerous if you're a little leopard. And obviously the mother often leaves them alone up to 3 or 4 days at a time while she has to hunt. There we go, guys. Here comes the flirting. Look at that. She's going to try inspire him to move. Isn't that incredible? Watch how she moves around. She'll try to put her tail almost in his face. And you can hear that deep growling. Oh, she doesn't put herself in the best position there, but there we go. Unfortunately for us, just on the other side of the log. It is one of the most incredible sounds in the African bush. Doesn't quite sound like anything else you will ever hear out here. So very, very short little bursts. That's why they have to mate so often. It doesn't last very long at all. See how she's rolled onto her back now, trying to make sure the semen stays inside. So night shift runner is still a little bit confused about the barbed penis story. So he says, does it get stuck when he's mating? It is. So while he is ejaculating, it's trying to stay inside. So once he's finished ejaculating, he needs to disembark. It actually hurts her, and that's why she turns around and gives him a good swat. Okay, now they're going to make our lives very difficult. We're going to try to follow them, but they are going down an area that is incredibly hard to get into. Now, where on earth? I've got to do the clap quickly for the... Okay. Andrew, why did you steal the remote for the car? Because I was sitting on it. It's possible.
You weren't so messy, friend.
I wasn't so messy, Andrew. No, I know you've been here moving my stuff, Andrew, while I was talking. Let's see if we can find a spot.